Like, we're on TikTok. Like, check. This is the YouTube, guys. State of deception. I'm building this shit brick by brick. Orlin Jackman says, "Are you accepting other people on TikTok?" Yes, I am. Let's get another guest up. Actually, Free Palestine. Okay. And what we got? Their very presence changes the demographic and ultimately heritage. That is true. You need to control immigration so that like the people coming is like a slow trickle, so that the demographics don't change too much. I do agree with that. What's up, Free Palestine?
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
I was just wondering why you think, because don't get me wrong, I'm very critical of both the US and the UK.
Okay.
Deeply critical.
All right.
But I was wondering what exactly makes the US better, just because I think even though the NHS is underfunded and it's struggling because of that, I believe that like the access to free healthcare is good in comparison to in America. I really would not like to have an accident happen, then I have to pay for it. And if I can't pay for it, I essentially
would you rather have to pay for it if you didn't have an accident?
If I didn't have what?
Would you rather you're paying for it whether you have an accident or not?
Oh, what? As in insurance?
As in insurance or taxes. You're paying for it whether you have an accident or not. So you're paying for it, brother.
No, what? In the UK, you mean?
Yes.
No, I know, but it's in. It's sure it comes out in tax, and I don't mind that. It's not enough that's being given to.
You don't mind it going to the government, but you mind it going to the private sector.
No, I wouldn't mind it if it was given towards healthcare, like actually funding the NHS. That's what I would support if it was in the UK.
But that's the government. So you don't mind the government funding healthcare, but you mind private companies funding healthcare. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's weird.
No, yeah. In terms of private, yeah. Because I think it's
what's inherently better about the government compared to a private company?
The private company, with the government, if this is where I'm going off kind of like a socialist sort of understanding. If we had more input in the government, well, what's wrong with being socialist?
Carry on.
What? Are you capitalist?
100%.
Oh, why though?
Well, capitalism is just the default position of free enterprise. Obviously, it needs to be regulated through laws, but you don't need to start redistributing wealth. Unless you're talking about people being absolutely destitute. But
if capitalism was the default, it wouldn't have been created. It was like a created system.
It's not really a created system.
If capitalism was like a natural state of human beings, it wouldn't have been created. It was created by.
It is.
Yeah. No, it's not natural though. We don't come out the womb knowing what capitalism is.
How is it not natural to have people buy and sell things?
Because money isn't natural.
Yeah, money isn't natural, but people still trade things in nature.
No, yeah, sure. People trade
which
things
means that people have to have a way of ascertaining a value proposition, and by virtue of there being a value proposition, that gives birth to capitalism. The concept of people comparing and contrasting value propositions in order to maximize the value for themselves, which is an inherent trait of human beings, is to try and maximize value for themselves.
When it's capitalized, that's where you get inequalities. And America is a heavily capitalist country.
No,
so is the UK.
But inequality is also natural.
It's a set-up system, though. It's a set-up system.
No. Inequality is also natural.
It relies. How is it natural? It relies on.
How is inequality not natural?
Inequality. No, I'm not saying that inequality is not natural. I'm saying that capitalism is not natural.
But
inequality is definitely
natural. But think about it.
Because meritocracy is a myth. Meritocracy.
How is meritocracy a myth?
Meritocracy does not. Okay.
That's one of the most fundamental parts of humanity.
Okay, well that completely contradicts what you're saying. Though. How can you believe that inequality is natural but meritocracy also exists? Those two things directly contradict each other.
No, they don't. Meritocracy creates inequality.
We can go into the systematic aspect of it.
How is that contradiction?
Meritocracy. I'll explain. Meritocracy is the belief that every single person on the earth has the same opportunities.
No, it's not.
In order to succeed.
It isn't, bro.
It literally goes under the status.
That's not what meritocracy is.
Meritocracy. You can Google it. It literally is about.
Let's Google it. Let's calm down a bit so we can Google it, so we can make sure we're defining our terms, because I don't like debating when we don't agree on the definitions of things. So let's just get a working definition of meritocracy. So it says it's a notion of a political system in which economic goods or political power are vested in individual people based on ability and talent rather than wealth or social class. So that's the Wikipedia definition, I think. Can we get a dictionary definition? A society governed by people selected according to merit, a ruling or influential class of educated or able people, government or the holding of power by people. So I think would you agree with this definition? The holding of power by people selected according to merit being the quality of being particularly good or worthy, especially so as to deserve praise or reward. Yeah.
So that's my point. So we pretend as if meritocracy is real, as if people are actually genuinely selected based on their qualifications and merit and talent. But we do have all these other factors, such as inequality, that are typically promoted by things like capitalism. So capitalism prevents people from getting access in terms of education, healthcare, getting successes in terms of jobs, especially if you live in a very deprived area.
Mate, that is complete nonsense.
This area is super deprived, and it all contributes into one another.
So are you saying that there's no correlation between people being lifted out of poverty and people having access to education and jobs and life security? Because obviously, if you look at the places in the world that have developed the most over the past 50 years, all of those places also started to gain access to jobs, wealth, education after they developed, and they developed due to a system of capitalism.
No, but capitalism was designed with a specific person in mind. Capitalism can't exist
Dr.
with the
Shackelberg.
rich elite. The rich elite. Exactly who it benefits. Without capitalism, you wouldn't have billionaires who tax evade, and there's loads of those in the UK.
Tax evasion.
So many
people naturally want to avoid.
People blame immigrants. They tax evade, and then the government also puts its money towards.
I think what you're doing is you're conflating ideas that you see as inherent negatives of systems that are deregulated with what capitalism is. Meaning, like, you don't have to have tax. You can have capitalism without tax evasion. You can have capitalism without inequality, theoretically. I mean, socialism is actually capitalism where inequality is addressed through wealth redistribution. You understand? Socialism is an extension of capitalism. So you're conflating capitalism with a lot of other things that are not necessarily. They're not necessary to have capitalism. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, not necessary. It's more that people manipulate capitalism.
Okay, so you're agreeing that they're not fundamental to what capitalism is, right?
But in the structure of capitalism was set in place with intention. It was designed so that a specific group of people could be rich and kind of rule over the rest.
Designed by who?
It was designed by government elitists who wanted to maintain power. It was designed and instructed by the monarchy, and they also created the police with the intention of maintaining social control.
Ah, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, my friend.
It's not conspiracy. This is the entire evolution of the police.
So you think that the police exist to protect capitalism, to protect capital?
Yes, I believe the initial.
You don't think that they also exist to enforce the leverage of the state over the individual? In other words, because the state, the arbiters of the wealth redistribution are the state. So you can actually have a powerful state where the police exist and enforce laws without even having capitalism. So how can the function of the police simply be to protect capitalism? The function of the police is to protect the state.
Because of their historical origin. So if we compare, just for example, just for the UK and the US,
right?
In the US, the police were initially slave catchers.
Bullshit.
That was their entire. That was you can look it up.
Bullshit.
A lot of the police's origins were to punish the Black Slave Rebellion.
Bullshit.
That is social control. Look it up.
Bullshit.
In the UK, they were established in the 19th century.
That is a rumor.
Let me speak.
Find me a single source.
In the UK,
you just heard that and you're repeating it.
Okay, right. Sure.
Find us a source.
You can please look this up.
I've heard it multiple times, but it's
I'm on my phone right now. If I found a source, I'd end up leaving a lie.
Mate.
If I left my phone,
okay. Police. So in what state?
In the UK, the way that they were structured was because they prior to the 19th century, they didn't exist. In the 19th century, the British elite witnessed what happened in France. There was the French Revolution. The reason that France does not have a monarchy right now is because of the French Revolution. They killed the French monarchy. So by the time it happened in France, everyone in Britain, all the British elitists, the people who were upholding capitalism, had the working class in slave labor and were making money off of slavery in America. They were like, shit, we don't want our monarchy to be overthrown. We need social control. We need someone to uphold capitalism. They proceeded to then establish a police force in the central of London, and then that's grown since then. So its origins are rooted in social control. to me, I think that, I mean, and this is not speaking on behalf of every single.
The NAACP is bullshit, by the way.
Up for someone.
But
you are.
No.
You can look it up. Look it up, dude.
No, I've heard it multiple times. I know why you think that.
Why do you
the
think
NAACP are race hustlers that push nonsense on the population? So they're obviously going to pretend that policing is all about black people. It's not. That's not why policing exists. No. Okay. Just let me respond. Calm down. Right.
Go ahead.
So, are you saying that if we didn't have a capitalist system, we wouldn't have police?
No. I'm not saying the police are inherently bad.
And do the police enforce the laws of the country typically?
Yeah, typically, yeah.
Okay, so how are they just protecting capital if they are actually just enforcing laws? But they're enforcing laws on behalf of the government, and if the government was a completely socialist government, they would still be enforcing the laws on behalf of the government. The police typically exist to protect the state, not necessarily to protect capital.
Well, a lot of their things are about protecting capital.
Like
the
what?
Construction of them is to protect capital.
Like what?
Okay, so for example, when people have, with a lot of these laws that are coming in that are banning protesting, in particular when it comes to challenging things about Palestine, and our government sends so much money over to Israel to fund them while they commit a genocide upon Palestine. When people in this country are giving outcry against that, because, we're not about funding children being slaughtered, the police are then the people who are standing against us. We can literally hold up a sign that says...
How is that protecting capital?
Because of the money that is generated between Israel, Britain, and America.
Okay, so you think that as opposed to them trying to stop civil unrest because they don't like it when people rise up against their system, you think that it's actually because they're trying to protect the money? Because I don't think that the police would be very effective if you just did a boycott. You know what I mean? Like, they can't really do much to protect capital in that regard.
Wait, how do you mean? If we did a boycott of Israel?
Like the police can't stop you from withdrawing capital away from, supporting people that support Israel or whatever. So what they're trying to prevent is civil unrest. That's why they're doing what they're doing.
There's different contexts for all of it, though.
But how is civil unrest about capitalism? It's more about protecting the social paradigm.
When you're talking about civil unrest, you're talking about people simply saying that they don't stand with the genocide and they want the government to withdraw the money that they're giving.
Yeah. I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree. I'm just saying that obviously they just don't want people who are rising up against what the government wants. I don't think that it's about money necessarily. Because remember, the people that run society, they have unlimited money. They don't really care about money. They more care about power and things like that. So I think the police exist to protect.
And what's a better way to uphold power than to enforce a law that says
the government can have power without even having money. They can be a government the government can make money. So I don't think it's necessarily about money. I think that it's about protecting the state and protecting the state's leverage over society. Well, you seem to frame everything bad as capitalism, and then you just say I'm a socialist because everything bad is caused by capitalism.
No, I'm a socialist because I believe that capitalism doesn't work. We have prime examples that.
But you need capitalism in order to have socialism. 1%. But you can't even have you can't have socialism without capitalism.
I'm not saying that a complete derailing of capitalism would make sense. I'm saying that we could improve and definitely reform on capitalism, which is why when I'm curious about why you think the US is better than England, it just makes me think, well, why? I mean, if anything, there's almost less freedom of speech there than there is over here. And a lot of it is very centered about.
That's complete nonsense.
A lot of it is very centered around capitalism.
You think there's less freedom of speech in the USA than in the UK?
It really depends on whereabouts you're standing with it. With ours, we've got actual legality, but then people, they lose their jobs and things over there for basically.
That has nothing to do with freedom of speech.
In particular, when it came to Charlie Kirk's assassination, everybody was jumping on it and sort of. I'm not agreeing with making fun of his death. But people who did say things in the sense saying that they weren't going to empathize with this Nazi who died, a lot of them did lose their jobs.
That has nothing to do with freedom of speech.
Okay, do you want to give me your reason specifically for why you think America is actually better than the UK?
Yeah, by the way, that has nothing to do with freedom of speech, because freedom of speech is about laws that criminalize speech, which they have in the UK, but they don't have in the USA. Excuse me. So the USA is better because it provides more freedom for its citizens. There's more economic opportunity. You do have freedom of speech, contrary to what you may think. You have more freedom of speech in the USA than any other country in the world. It's a larger, more prosperous country. It has a better public sector, better systems. It has 50 of the top countries by GDP per capita. So there's so much economic opportunity there. It has the best landscape, and you can live off the land. The land is relatively cheap for the Western world. It's easy to pass on wealth to the next generation. There's a whole host of reasons, but you can address any of those that you want to.
Okay, in terms of passing the wealth down from generations, I mean, this is the thing again about meritocracy. I don't feel like in the US meritocracy is real. Like, a lot of people present the idea of like the American dream and things like that. And like, everyone can achieve, I mean, this has literally been stated before, anyone can achieve the American dream as long as they work hard enough, get their head down, just, work to the absolute max, you'll achieve it. But really, the people who actually achieve the American dream, or as they quote it, just the richest, they're the ones who end up exploiting people. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What country has the most, what country is it easier to be economically prosperous in? What country is it easiest to be economically prosperous in?
Well, out of UK and US?
In the world.
In the world? I do not know.
You know.
I don't.
You know. Take a guess.
Well, what? Is it America?
You know it's America.
Okay. Then why
what does that tell you? What does that tell you about meritocracy? It tells you that America is a society where you're most likely to be successful.
It's most likely, but meritocracy presents the idea that anyone can be.
But anyone can be to the greatest extent in the USA. There's nowhere in the world where everyone can be successful, but the place where the largest percentage of people are going to be able to be successful is the United States compared to everywhere else in the world.
How do you want to define successful, though?
We can use any working definition you want, but success typically is about economic freedom, the ability to have your basic needs met, the ability to pass on wealth to the next generation, the ability to be a homeowner, the ability to have access to technology. That's typically what people consider the ability to get educated.
If we're talking about how great to get educated is interesting, because a large number of Americans are actually illiterate.
That's one facet of success. But when you take the totality of it all, America is the most successful country in the world. It's not even. There's nowhere that's even close.
No, I know, but my point
is
that
means that the idea of meritocracy, even if it doesn't exist, it exists to the
thousands of Americans. This is where I go into like the healthcare factor as well. Thousands and thousands of Americans die every single year because of lack of access to healthcare, because they can't afford it.
There's always going to be people that die due to lack of access, but there are thousands and hundreds of thousands.
Why do they have lack of access?
Okay, let me respond. There are hundreds of thousands of people that are supposed to have access to healthcare in the UK, and they die because they're on an NHS waiting list.
No, absolutely. This is what I'm saying.
So anywhere in the world is going to have people dying due to lack of access to healthcare. Every country in the world is going to have that.
No, I know, but it's not about lack of access.
What is it about America that you think is uniquely?
It's not just because in the UK it's underfunded. Over there, it's because they simply can't afford it. That to me symbolizes that you only, a certain amount.
That's
of
not
income,
true.
Your status.
That's not true.
Implicates whether or not you have access to healthcare.
That's not true. The lowest income people in America get virtually free healthcare.
Wait, what? Sorry?
The lowest income people in America get virtually free healthcare.
Okay, how virtually? What do you mean virtually?
Well, they may have like a couple $100s a year in medical expenses, but they basically get free healthcare.
Okay, then why are thousands of them dying?
Well, like I said, in every country in the world, there are going to be people that die because of not being able to access healthcare. They access healthcare.
It should be a lot more minimal.
But more people die in the UK because of lack of accessibility to healthcare than in the USA, and the USA has a 4 times larger population.
Can you pull up the statistics to prove that?
Yeah, I got a video on my page about it. The Guardian and I think it was the Labour Party did a subject access request to all the NHS trusts and said, tell us how many people died on your waiting list this year, and they got all the numbers. Only about, I think, 30% of trusts responded, and the number for approximately 30% of the trust was like, in totality, it was like 65,000 people. So obviously, if you extrapolate that to the whole population, that's like 200,000 plus people dying on the waiting list. Now, granted, when you die on the waiting list, it doesn't necessarily mean that you died of the condition that you were on the waiting list for, but necessarily there will be a percentage of those people that die awaiting treatment in the UK, and the UK has a waiting list of 7.4 million people. So it's a mathematical certainty that people will die awaiting treatment, and it's the same with the USA. People die because they, I suppose you could designate people as uninsured or underinsured, and then you could say that, oh yeah, if they had insurance that they may not have died. But again, you're really doing modeling and making predictions. It's very difficult to pinpoint the exact number for the people that are dying in the UK, but it's definitely much higher in the UK because of the number of people that are on the waiting list. There's millions of people waiting treatment in the UK. Largest there's ever been in history.
1,000,000%.
So why is it worse? Why is it worse to die because you're underinsured than to die on a waiting list?
Because the point is with that is that you just simply do not, it equates your significance in life to the amount of income that you have.
But that exists in the UK as well, because in the UK you can
you
can get private. Wait. In the UK you can get private healthcare and skip the waiting list. So doesn't that mean that equates your value of your life to how much money you have?
No, it doesn't. This is my point. It should be funded more in the UK. My point is that healthcare should be free all around. It should be free and should be government funded.
There's no such thing as free healthcare.
Because nobody pays for their ailments. Like, I didn't, you don't ask to have cancer, you don't ask to have a heart condition, you don't ask to have problems with your eyes or have issues with your teeth.
You don't ask to need to eat, you don't ask to need to use toilet paper, you don't ask, nobody asks for anything in life. So why, is it just an ideological position that you have that it must be free? Because your arguments are incongruent. We didn't ask to be born, so therefore should everything in life be paid for through taxpayer money?
I never said everything, I said healthcare.
Why particularly healthcare?
Because, as I'm saying, nobody asks for shit. Healthcare
nobody asks to need to do a shit, but they have to buy toilet paper.
No, I'm saying nobody asks to, say, be stabbed in the leg or be shot or have their child be injured or literally anything.
Okay, so it's the same with everything in life. Nobody asks to be born. Nobody asks to need to shit. Nobody asks to be hungry. Nobody asks for any of this.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's the point. Capitalism maintains this kind of structure.
So are you a communist?
That keeps people at the bottom.
Are you a communist?
That keeps people at the bottom.
Are you a communist?
I said I'm a socialist.
No, I'm asking you, are you a communist?
That I'm a socialist.
No, but is that no, you're not a communist?
No.
Okay, so where do you draw the line with respect to what should be controlled by the government? Because you seem to be adamant that healthcare should be controlled by the government. What else do you think should be controlled by the government?
I believe education, but I also think that a lot of people. So if we're talking about specifically America, I will say guns. How do you feel about guns in America? If that's an aspect.
We're changing the topic. Well, I will get to guns, but what do you? I just want to understand, what do you think should be controlled by the government?
I think that healthcare should be a government concern, rather than private companies that make the most money off of it.
Okay.
And then people end up dying.
But you don't care. But you don't care if people die on the waiting list because the system's overburdened.
No, I care about people dying. That's why I said it should be a government issue, as in the government funds it.
But that's what I'm saying. You don't seem to care about the actual outcomes. You have an ideological position that it has to be government funded.
Maybe if we taxed billionaires more, then our NHS would be sufficient.
You don't think the NHS gets enough money?
No.
Why not?
Their staff are massively underfunded. They're not given proper PPE. They weren't given PPE during COVID. The MPs, you can look up the PPE that they were given during COVID. It was literally like a plastic bag over the fucking heads.
Wait, so can I ask you a question, right? When the NHS staff and the NHS gets more money, does it improve patient outcomes?
Yes.
Where's the evidence of that over the past 20 years?
Well, that's the point. We don't have evidence. I know that it would. No,
but tell us, because they have previously constantly received increased budget. And
does that match with inflation?
No, it doesn't matter whether it matches with inflation. Your point is that more money will make the healthcare service better. Where is the evidence of that?
Exactly. I would like evidence of it. I would like that to be the case.
So you have no evidence to suggest that giving them more money is going to solve any of the problems.
I know that it would.
Why? Based on
How
what?
can you? No, because right now where they're not funded enough,
They are funded
you have staff
enough.
who are working. They're not funded enough.
Why do you not think they're funded?
We
Like,
literally
tell us how much
we
do you
literally
think
know they're not.
how much more money do you think they need? Tell us.
What in comparison to what they're already given?
Yeah.
I would say up it and up and up it until you see results.
And the money's coming from the
Because-
taxpayer, right?
No, I believe essentially the money should come.
Where's the money coming from? Are you looking up how much the NHS receives every year? It's like 176 billion or something like that. And then they just got a 4% budget increase. So you guys do the maths on that. Probably like another 50 billion or something, 40 billion. Do you think that that's going to solve the problems in the NHS the more we keep funding it? Because the thing is, it's like if I had a business that wasn't working and I'm like, hey man, I'm in the hole. Sorry, you gave me 10K. I spunked it. I bought limes and KFC every day. And, I had chicken and watermelon orgies. And then I come back to you and I'm like, dude, I promise, just give me more money. And I promise I won't have chicken and watermelon orgies again. Like, don't you think that maybe the issue of where the money is going is more important than giving them more money?
Do you think that the NHS is just spending it on chicken and watermelon?
It might as well be. People would probably be better off. They're spending it on no, I don't think that they're spending it on things that they don't necessarily need overwhelmingly, but there's a lot of wastage. I think there was a lot of wastage during COVID. I think that they make poor management decisions. Sorry?
Where do you think the wastage was in COVID?
The vaccine, the PPE. I think the whole thing was a complete scam.
The PPE was bullshit.
Yeah, I don't think COVID is actually real.
What?
I don't think COVID is real.
Did you ever have it?
No, I don't. I mean, you can have a set of symptoms, but I don't think that it was caused by a virus.
You don't think? Okay, if it wasn't caused by a virus, how was it spread?
I don't think it was spreading.
How was it not spread though? Because okay, listen. Oh my god, sorry,
You're such an NPC, bro.
No, bro, no, you said that just sounds like very classic. I mean, do you live in America? You should move over there, bro.
I am moving over there.
I can't believe you don't think that COVID was real. You really don't think COVID was real?
No, I don't think it was real.
Okay, but when a lot, like millions and millions of people in succession all get
Can I ask you a question? How old are you?
The flu is not real.
Yeah, I don't think the flu is caused by a virus either.
Okay, whoa. Do you not think that any diseases are real?
No, diseases are real. I don't think they're caused by viruses though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I think bacteria can make you sick and bacterial toxins, but not viruses.
Right. Okay. Right. Well.
I know. I'm like NPC killer final boss.
Is that your title?
Yes.
Mm.
You are like one of the biggest NPCs I've ever met, though. Bravo.
Cheers, man.
How old are you?
21.
Are you? Someone was calling you a girl in the chat. Are you like? You're not a girl, are you?
I am, yeah.
You're a girl?
Yeah, just deep voice.
Oh, okay. I was a bit confused because I was like, I couldn't really tell. You can't tell these days, right?
Nah, it's literally. I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty masculine. I'm chill with it.
I don't think you're masculine.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a mullet.
I don't think that makes you masculine. Masculine is like how I am, like being like deadpan and confident and not caring what people think. That's like masculinity.
Really?
Yes.